Morning, everybody. It is Saturday. I almost said it's Friday, but it's Saturday. So how's everybody? Everybody excited for a nice long weekend?
Yay! Is it?
It is. It's the weekend. You got any plans? Sid, what are you doing this weekend?
Sewing. Of course.
Nice. It's laundry weekend. I'll be at the laundromat.
I'm going to be making Christmas face masks.
There you go. If you guys want to do something fun and you live here in Asheville, over at the Asheville Mall, I went last night. There is a drive-in theater through US Cellular. Pull up their Facebook page, you'll find the link and everything to it, but they're doing a drive-in viewing of Shrek, and it was really fun.
Also, if you see their post about it on WLOS, there's a couple pictures of Bethany in her little aqua face mask and several blankets.
So there were 3 blankets because it was cold sitting outside and the wind was blowing. I was shivering like a little chihuahua.
And you saw Shrek?
Yep.
Love it.
Oh my gosh, I love Shrek. I've not watched that a lot since I was an adult, and I forgot how much adult humor is actually peppered into that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. So if you guys want something fun to do, I think there was like 20 or 30 spots left, so go snag it. That was a fun thing. Let's see. So you guys got any fun plans for this weekend? Next week we are taking the week off.
Yep, we don't have any videos planned for next week unless we get some fabric boxes, and we'll definitely do surprise unboxings for those.
Naturally.
Good morning, Barbara.
Morning.
We've got a few people starting to tune in. I think everyone's starting to get all their notifications.
Yep. So today we are going to be going over thread painting and a little touch of thread painting, but mostly shredded art quilting with Chris Eichner.
Mm-hmm.
And she is the sweetest lady ever, so.
Truly. All right, so we've got only 12 people watching so far, but I'm sure that'll go up and up and up.
Yep.
We had 90 last week.
Yes, we did.
Goodness.
That notification, I don't know why, but it's suddenly gotten real slow.
Yeah, I get them like 5 minutes later. Morning, Dixie.
Morning, Dixie.
And Kathy.
Morning.
Everyone's starting to wake up. I know I left coffee in my car overnight, some iced coffee, so I knew it would be cold in the morning anyway.
I accidentally left a bottle of Coke in my car.
Ooh,
It didn't
yeah.
explode, so I got lucky.
Morning, Kay. So everybody, we are with Chris Eichner this morning doing shredded art and a little bit of thread painting. So I'm going to bring it on over to Chris. Thank you, Miss Beth.
Yay.
Good morning, everybody. It's my favorite quilt shop.
Yay. Thank you.
And I'm honored to do this here, and it's the first time I've ever been doing a video, and hopefully you'll all enjoy it. And if you do, give them a shout. This is I call it Mosaic art quilt. And this, of course, is representing autumn. And this is winter.
Which is what we want.
I know. Beautiful. We need that much snow.
And this one is representing outside the box of what it looks like.
I love the
forest.
colors.
It's so sparkly and
If
pretty.
you'll notice, I did add some Angelina fiber underneath
Kind of
the
sparklies in there. That's
yeah.
pretty.
to just give it some sparkle. I'm not going to be doing that today because time doesn't allow that to happen. Okay, so I'm going to go over to my rotary cutting mat, which turns
Love the
like
turning mat.
this.
Handy. I think we have at least one of those in stock right now if someone needs one.
Yes, we do.
And of course you have a great tool here. And the first thing you're going to do, and I do have notes here because I don't trust myself to get it all together, but this is a photo that I got and copied from Pixabay, which is a free download, and so you don't have a problem with copyright laws to use that. So when you do select a photo, you're going to pay attention to your season, and the fabric that you're going to choose is a non-readable batik fabric. And I like batik fabrics because they're closely woven and they've got a lot of variation in them. So this would be the first fabric that you choose for the top. Then you're going to have a thin layer of batting, and then you're going to have your backing. And the backing can actually be any color, doesn't really matter. When you choose those different fabrics, you're going to make your backing and your batting about 2 inches or 1 inch larger than the surface of your top of the quilt. So when you make your quilt sandwich, I use Selkie KK2000, and the reason I do that is because it's not sticky and it doesn't gum up your needle, and in about 3 to 4 days it dissipates. Or if you want it to go away quickly, you can press it.
Nice.
So here's the first sample.
Robin said you're doing great.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, and then you're going to cut 2 layers of tulle net. That's like veiling for brides. And I like to use black because it makes the colors pop. As you can see, when you do start to select your fabrics later on, if you'll take your netting and put them over the fabric, you can then see how the colors pop out.
And that's going to tone everything down just slightly, so you want really good saturated colors.
Yes. And you can also use dark green or dark blue. All right. So that's the netting.
Love it.
And then you're going to select your batik fabrics, which represent your photo, either from a magazine, your own, or from the internet. And here's another little photo with birch trees. These are the fabrics that I selected to do this project. You can see I didn't use all of them in the actual project, but I like to have a lot of them so that I can choose. When you select your fabrics, use batik fabric, because then you have a pattern on both the back side and the front side, and when you're cutting all your little mosaic pieces up, you don't have to worry about it being a cotton fabric, which has generally a wrong side is sort of white or gray. All right, so I choose a value of, say, green, and a color of green, and the value is light, medium, and dark. And I try to do that with every color that I choose. Now you're going to use a 12-inch rotary cutting mat, and it turns, and that's very helpful while you're cutting your pieces, so you don't have to arc your back all over the place. All right, so I'm gonna, yeah, it's great. And you want a new blade in your rotary cutter. That's very important. You're going to layer 2 or 3 layers of fabric down, and it doesn't have to be equal, but it does have to be flat. You don't want fabric and lay it down and have lots of folds in it, because then it'll pop up all over the place as you're trying to slice through. All right, so let's just say these are 3 different colors, 3 colors. And first I'm going to hold this as a grip, and I'm going to slice through every inch or so. Then I'm going to turn my mat a quarter turn, and I'm going to go across the previous slices. So now we've got almost like tic-tac-toe. All right, I'm going to turn my mat where it's convenient for my arm to be and for me to cut. Always keep your hand off of the mat and away. You don't want to cut your fingers. I've done that.
So have I.
All right, and so you're going to go back and forth. Notice when I did the horizontal and the vertical cut, I did not go back and forth like this. I did this, this, and this motion. But now I'm going across diagonally, and then I'm going to turn my mat again and go across diagonally again, making little tiles, if you will.
This seems like the best stress relief ever.
It takes a while to cut up all these little packages of mosaic pieces. I don't like them larger because they just don't seem to work for me. Then I take a piece of cardstock paper, and I fold it in half. And I push my pieces together in a pile like this. I've seen people when in the class when I've taught this take their blade and do
Oh,
this.
no.
Do not do that.
No.
You will be replacing your blade very quickly.
Ooh,
Then I push the pile on top of the cardstock. Sort of give it a little fold depending on the size of your baggie.
Make it a little shovel.
Put them in there. And the rest go on the floor. And then I do this because I want that color to be off. And so I'm going to show you this one more time. So notice I am not cutting 5-inch squares. That's just an approximation. See this little fold in here? We don't want that because that will mess up your cutting. So I'm taking these two pieces of fabric, laying them on top of each other, slicing through about every inch, turn, go in the opposite direction, go diagonally, back and forth, back and forth. So I think you've got the picture on how to prepare your mosaic pieces.
That legitimately
And Bethany, if you'd like to take this, you may.
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful assistant Vanna over here.
And I will turn the page.
Vanna wishes she was as cool as me.
Which Sydney was wonderful enough to copy for me. Each of your fabrics will be prepared in the same manner as I just showed you. And always close your cutter
Yeah.
after
drop
each
that on your
of your
Yeah, I've
fabrics.
also done that.
Because I've had some bad accidents with that as well. Okay, so you're going to divide your photograph visually into thirds, or if you need to make a little mark, that's fine as well. You can do that. Okay. And then you're going to begin at the top of your piece of fabric, the quilt sandwich, and here you're going to pay close attention to what colors are on the underside and what colors are overlapping. So your eye might tell you a different story than mine, but my eye tells me that the yellow and the lighter values of color are in the background. So I will take a little pile of my scraps of mosaics pieces, and just, you want to stay within about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch away from the outside edge, and you're just going to scatter them.
This looks really fun. I've never done this with you before, and I want to now.
It's so cool.
And so that's one value of yellow, and I want a little bit brighter. So I'm going to scatter this, and I'm now looking down in this area here, and in this area right in here, and some more in here.
And I love it. I feel like this is such a great opportunity to be creative, because in quilting, sometimes people want to do exactly the fabric and exactly the pattern they see, and this is really a chance to kind of just go for it.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah, and the other thing is that it's there's no measuring,
Which is phenomenal.
and then this can be helpful in placement, because using a pair of tweezers, the reason I do that is because the little pieces sometimes stick to my fingers and so forth. So, and then I think I will go with this little darker shade of oranges, if you want to call it that, and I would put those in here. And nothing is wrong or right, it's your interpretation. However your eye interprets your photograph, that's how you're going, or painting, that's what you're going to do.
I love it.
Which is really nice. I left some of my pieces larger, and the reason I did that was to show you why I like them smaller, because then it seems that I have to place them. But some artists who do this kind of quilting, art quilting, like the larger tiles. So I'll leave a couple of large ones there.
And Bethany, someone asked how late are we open today and tomorrow?
We are here till 4 today. Tomorrow, Sunday, we are closed, and we are closed on Monday.
Yep, so we're here Tuesday to Saturday, 10 to 4 right now. I love that red. That's my favorite, like autumn leaf color.
The red ones are so pretty, especially if they're crunchy.
And as you're doing this, it is helpful to take your piece of tulle net and audition the scraps that you've put down, because you can always see how those pop out
against that
and
black.
a muted color like this would be muted and dull. That doesn't show through so well.
I love
and
it.
when you pick this up, you want to just carefully pick it up again and put it aside. And so this is how you would begin to lay down your tiles, your mosaic pieces. And then the next thing you would do, make sure that you study your photo again, and remember, after you have put all of your pieces down, all your mosaic pieces down, that's when you're going to put your net over. Let's use this green one. So pretend that all the pieces are down, and then you're going to take 4 pins and you're going to pin each corner. Next, after we've done that, I'll set this aside. This is what we will have. I try not to get too mixed up with what is the top and what is the background and what is the foreground. And usually the green, if I have that as my base, as in some of these pictures here, you can see that this will, so in case I leave my project, I don't want to start doing it this way.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
all right.
So pretty.
So now I've got all of my mosaic pieces down, and I've taken, let's see, where's that little, oh, I probably should have showed you this.
Can we just say that Chris is the most organized of all of us so
I
far?
know. You guys are never going to see us this organized. And we're getting a few questions that have been answered earlier in the video. I think instead of us answering things over and over, it really will. This is one that you kind of do have to watch front to back. So if you're just tuning in, you definitely want to catch this from the beginning once it is done.
Yep. So after the video's done, we'll post it, and it'll be about 15-ish minutes before it's ready.
All right, so let's say that this is pinned correctly, and then with my rotary blade and my cutter and my mat again, I'm going to cut varying widths of trees, usually, just a little irregularly sliced. They don't have to be straight, they can be off-centered.
Because trees aren't perfectly straight.
No,
they're not.
And they overlap each other, and you're going to lay all this down.
Makes me think one of the things that I got Brandon for his birthday is a booklet on Bigfoot tree things, like what different crossed trees mean and this and that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Weird. He likes weird stuff.
You know what? That's actually kind of cool.
So this is your foreground tree because it's larger, and your background trees are either darker or lighter depending upon the photo that you have. There is no rule. You can definitely have lighter trees in the background, because if the sun was coming through that way, your trees would appear lighter, and then your trees in the foreground would look darker.
In shadow, yeah.
Okay, so just play around with it. Now, oops, that's why we pin the corners.
Yeah.
Because you don't want that to be moving around. Then you would take your little baggies of different colors again.
Now you'll be working on the foreground instead.
And, yeah. Oh, actually what we're going to do is cover some of those trees so they just don't look like they're hanging out there. So we've got some leaves covering.
I love it.
All right. Let me just do this. I think we're probably going to be done even sooner than I think. All right, and we'll put some orange. I'm referring to my...
Oh, I love it. It's so perfect.
Again, these are a little larger. I'll put those back. And we have another value of orange. You know, I'm doing this very quickly, so it's not going to look as nice as a finished one, but
it still looks
it
amazing.
will be fine for the purpose of what we're doing.
So everyone can kind of just see the technique, and just like a baking show, we've got one to pull out when we get to that point.
Martha Stewart, I am not. Okay, and then you might, you just might want to scatter some of this green down here. And actually, I like this one better. Oh, you might want to have a little bit of a blue sky showing through.
Yes.
So even though your batik fabric may not have any blue sky, you probably would want to put a little bit of this color down prior to putting your leaves, so that when you place your leaves on your foundation, the blue is going to be peeking through.
I love it.
Okay. Alrighty then. And at the base of your trees, you might want to have, and there probably would be another tree up here. Oops, see, that's why you have to pin.
Pinning is your friend.
In this instance,
Pinning is
definitely.
my friend.
I would use pins for this. Definitely.
And so at the base of your tree, you might have a little, you don't want that blunt edge showing. You want to have at least some. I don't like these, so we're going to take those off. That's the nice thing about this. Oh dear.
And this is why we pen.
I like to show what not to do.
Same.
Okay.
I think we're both really good at
All right. So let's just say in a perfect world by yourself, this is all done. And then you're going to take the last layer of your tulle netting. And I'm going to use black this time because that's all I had. And I'm going to put that down. And now, Bethany, would you just take this? If it gets all messed up, it's okay because it's a mess. All right. So now you've got your first and your second layers of tulle netting down, and you're going to take your pins and
There you go.
you're going to pin all of the outside edges, having the pin go through this way so that you can sew over those pins or right up to them and not get stuck on the glass heads. So what we do now is we take these pins and we go every 2 to 3 inches and we pin them. People ask me, well, do we pin this way or this way? I find putting this in easier going this way, and I like to put my hand underneath just to give it a little support. I don't recommend having this on your sewing machine beautiful table and then sticking your pin in and marring the surface.
Yeah, no.
So what I did was I put an old rotary mat underneath on my sewing machine table, and then this way, cabinet, and then this way, I don't care if I stab them. Good, Stephanie. And so I've got them all going this way diagonally, and that seems to be a better fit for me. This ensures stability so that if you pick up your piece, the pieces aren't going to go all over the place.
Nice.
Whereas
Impressive.
you saw what happened to that
Yeah.
other one I was trying to demonstrate. And you're going to bring your quilt sandwich. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like me to answer at this point?
Nothing that's not already been answered.
Okay.
I think everybody's excited.
Yeah, I
They're
think
enjoying
everyone's
this.
just watching. You've got about 40 watching.
Oh, yay. Okay, so you're going to take this and bring it over to your Bernina sewing machine. I am a die-hard Bernina girl. I have a 350, a 750, and the new Q20.
Mm-hmm.
Sit down.
So next machine we're gonna get you is a real pretty 790.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to speak to Richard about that.
Talk to him.
We'll see him when he picks you up.
I just want to say additionally that what could be done here after you have secured all of this, and I'll demonstrate that for you with the cutting mat again, is cut trees out again. And all those pieces of binding that you have left over that would work well, you can use those to cut trees out of, and I'll show you what to do about that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have smoke invisible thread, and it's truly invisible because I can't even see it. Oh, there's my little tweezer. And I have a 90/14 needle. Whoop.
And guys, we do have all of this information written down, and we'll talk to you about that at the end.
Yeah. And so I'm going to take one stitch, and I've got a regular foot on. And the reason, whoops, we're not catching the bobbin thread. I'm just going to trust that it's going to go. And I have a stitch length of about 4, because I actually just need to base the outside perimeter of this to secure this. So I'm going to go all the way around, checking to see that my bobbin did in fact catch. And I'm going to go around the perimeter of this quilt. Make sure your netting doesn't start to bunch up. Oh, kneel down. Foot up. I guess I'm glad I have all this extra time so that I can, in fact, show some thread painting, because I really would like to be able to do that. So we have now encapsulated all of the mosaic pieces from at least falling out from the edges.
Which is the key part.
Some people sew over their needles and some people don't. I have a tendency to do it, at least if it's not up here at the top, but if it's at the more pointy side. Almost done. Okay. Use my wonderful cutter, and now I'm going to divide this visually in my mind in 4 quadrants, and I'm going to start at hold on one second.
We do have a question as to what kind of thread is in your bobbin.
I have a 50 weight cotton and steel thread. It can be Aurifil. It needs to be a good quality thread. And the top thread, I have clear smoke invisible. Well, there's a clear invisible, and then there's the smoke.
Yeah.
And the reason I use the smoke is because of the colors of the netting, and it's the least amount showing. Now I'm going to change my foot to a free motion foot. And I am going to use this one because I can see better. The needle that I put in here is a 90/14 top stitch needle. And the reason that I chose the top stitch is because when I thread paint later, I don't want to have to change needles again. And this way it will accommodate. as Robin would say, it's not impossible, but it is hard to use the threader when you're using invisible thread.
It is, yeah.
But because I do that a lot, I'm able to. So we're going to then put the feed dogs down, which Bethany just did for me. And I'm going to, of course, I don't have a stitch length because I'm doing free motion. So I'm going to bring my bobbin thread to the top. Take a few stitches and
Bethany, what number presser foot was this?
This was 24.
24.
All right, and I'm going to hold, because this is a small piece, I can do it this way. I'm going to hold this, and I'm going to move slowly and stitch slowly. Just meandering here and there and doing this first quadrant. And as I get close to my pins...
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, that's a directional one. I don't know how to use it because I don't do a lot of real quilting. Take this out.
Love that magnetic pen holder.
Yes, I have a magnet. If you mess up with the stitching, it doesn't matter. No one is going to see it on the other side, and they're not going to care. And what you want to do is try to make sure that you really do stitch over a lot of... I'm having a little trouble with moving the fabric. Can we adjust the pressure?
Yes, presser foot pressure here.
Less.
Lower it way down.
Yeah.
There.
Right
That's
there?
good. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, much better. Oh, I'm still having a problem.
Oh, your thread broke.
It broke or...
Yep, it's not in the needle anymore.
Okay.
So if that happens, we just cut our thread and go from there.
All right.
And I think that was just because it was so hard to move your fabric under it.
You think so? I'm just gonna use a black rayon by Silky, and it's a basic black color, and it is an embroidery thread, and I brought that along because, Bethany, can you set me up here?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I thought, well, what if I have a problem in the machine? You know, when you're using somebody else's machine and not your own, I encounter problems sometimes. So I brought this along just for this particular reason.
Yeah, we all get so used to our machine.
So I'm bringing up my bobbin thread by pressing my foot on the
back portion.
Kickback of the foot control.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can't think. Okay. So now again, I'm being careful to try not to get next to these pins too much. Let's cut these threads away. They don't need to be buried. They don't need to be knotted. This is an art quilt.
I love that.
And you're not going to have to wash it. Now, this is a slow process. So I am going to only do one quadrant.
Look how good our formation is.
I know.
Now you can kind of see why I use invisible thread, because
that
the
black is showing.
is really showing.
And then over here was that invisible.
It seems like it would be the funnest part of the whole process. Just relaxing in the end.
I don't know. I like playing with the little scrappy bits.
Yeah,
So we're doing this one weekend.
We definitely, you need to have the invisible thread because this is not looking too pretty. All right, so you're going to do that same process over all of your quilt, and again the bobbin weight thread is 50, and the top weight thread now with this embroidery Silky rayon thread is a 40 weight. So again, it's showing a lot because it is a 40 weight and not a 50. Perhaps a cotton and steel or an Aurifil 50 weight would be less visible than this is. If your machine doesn't like
the invisible
thread, I would want to have an alternative.
Which it is basically like a really lightweight fishing line, so you can see why machines might get grumpy at that.
Yep.
But it does make a difference when you use it.
Okay, so I'm going to take this off of here, and I'm going to show you next.
I love the fact that you don't have to bury the thread so much.
Yes.
Bethany, time check.
It is
I think we're making great time.
9:35.
Oh yeah, you've got 25 minutes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Because now I'd like to show you some thread painting.
Yay!
So, let's pretend that this has all been
Quilted down.
quilted down and all the pins have been removed and it's stable and sturdy. So therefore, I'm going to pin the sides so that this doesn't all fly out on me.
That's so pretty.
What I need right now is to select my threads that I'm going to use on the trees that I'm going to put in the foreground and thread paint on.
So I'm just going to step over to these finished samples to kind of explain what she's doing. So now we're going to imagine, you can barely see the invisible thread that she used to quilt this down with. So we are imagining that her piece is already all quilted down, and now she's going to start doing some thread painting, which is going to be bringing in these embellishments, giving textures to your trees, giving them a dark side, a light side, and you can get very creative with that. So that's going to be what we're doing now.
Hold on, we're making a slight adjustment.
Okay.
Just take all this off.
Thank you. My cat moment of the day.
Thank you. All right, so now I'm going to take this, I'm going to use the lighter one because I think that dark will be too dark. So I'm going to use this as a tree, for a tree, and take my rotary cutter and irregularly shape a tree. And remember, these are a little wider when it's in the foreground. They're not as slender, they're not as skinny as the trees in the background. I've used this to cut all these fabrics, and as you can see already, I'm having a little glitch happen. So this does use quite a bit of sharpness. I'm just going to leave those three just like that because this isn't for judging. And as you can see, I'm looking at this and it's actually upside down.
Yep, because we have green leaves in our sky right now.
Yes, we do.
And I'm going to just put a few pins in here where I know I'm not going to place any trees so that it's not going to move around. So now I'm going to take these pretty fabrics, and it possibly would be better even if they were a little bit lighter. And I'm going to place them wherever my mind tells me to put them.
I like that.
Oh yeah.
And perhaps this one can go across this way, or not. I think I like this better. All right.
Much better.
Okay. The first thing I have to do in order to do this technique, I need to go back to my invisible thread. Now, I was using this little thread guide because it generally does very well. But of course, I'm at a quilt shop and demonstrating, and nothing goes
Perfect. Yeah.
when you're not at home.
You know how that goes. She's doing better getting that thing threaded than I would have.
Okay.
You know, that invisible thread is not as mean as the metallics that are flat, like the holographic thread. Those are mean.
Discuss those things.
I have no problem with my 750 using Bethany, excuse me. Bethany,
Yes.
would you choose me a zigzag stitch, feed dogs down,
They are.
Perfect.
and free motion, foot is on.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what I'm going to do with this,
And if we need to tighten that zigzag stitch up, we can.
okay, I'm going to move this tree for better stitching. And I'm going to go down, bring my bobbin thread up to the top again. You know, I think I'm going to just go straight stitch.
Okay.
All right, and this is my stitch tension. Oh, that's another thing. When you're doing free motion, you need to lessen your tension. So when you turn your machine on, if it says 5.25 or 5 or 4, you want to lessen your thread tension at least 2 degrees. So if it's a 5, I would go down to a 3 or 3.50.
And that's our upper tension.
Yeah, and you know what? I am going to go back to the zigzag. And I want it to be very narrow. Okay. So therefore, I'm going to change the width of my zigzag to a little bit. Yeah, that's good.
Right about there?
Yeah, that'd be great. And don't forget, I'm doing free motion here, so you're going to have to guide and pull your fabric. And it doesn't matter how far apart those zigzags are, because they're really not going to show. And because I am, again, doing free motion, I need to pull, excuse me, and guide my fabric. Lift my foot, turn my piece. And I'm doing this to anchor down this tree so that when I'm thread painting, and I'll just do one, because I don't think I would, be able to do two. Yeah, it always happens. Just
We've all been there.
Even the pros.
All right, so I'm going to cut this.
Yeah, there was one day that Karen did it twice within 15 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to cut my thread at the top and pull my thread down through
Bethany, you want to grab that? It's a
the
little
presser
tangled.
feet.
There we go.
And I need a Band-Aid.
Uh-oh. All right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I've got one. But I do need a tissue.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now I'm going to let myself bleed all over the place. And I'm going to choose a lighter thread, which I'm going to use to thread paint and embellish the tree. Hurry, Bethany.
Let's be honest, you're the best quilts have blood, sweat, and tears in them.
Sometimes literally.
Yep.
Hurry, Bethany, would you put this on for me while I do the doctor thing?
Please stand by.
Just imagine cute radio elevator music right now, guys.
I said to myself, do I really want to do this? What if I, make mistakes? What if bad things happen? What if I cut myself? Well, the needle got me instead.
It's not the worst thing that's ever happened on the show.
At least the needle didn't break off into my finger. Then we would have had to stop this program.
Yeah.
At that point, we would have been going to visit the doctor.
Okay, so now Bethany has put on for me a spool of rayon 40-way thread, and I am going to thread paint.
Oh, I'm so excited for this part. I've always wanted to do thread painting.
Mm-hmm.
That one?
Wrong place. Now, I always begin at the bottom. Oh, this is going to be... Let's do it this way, so then those pieces aren't going to fall over the place. I always begin at the base of a tree, and I do have my zigzag stitch on, and I want the width to be wider than that, Bethany. So if you'll put the width to about a 3.
3.0.
3.0. And I'm going to take a few stitches. cut my threads, and I'm going to go up the tree vertically. So you will have had to turn your foundation piece not facing you correctly, but you're going to stitch up the tree vertically.
I always wondered how you did that texture. I really like this.
And let's go to a 3-point, let's go to a 4.
Okay.
It might show better. You know, thread painting is my very, 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 very favorite thing to do. So I'm going to pretend that the light is coming through the trees, mostly in the middle. In this set, the light is coming down this way. Therefore, the right side of my tree is going to be a lighter color. Oh, I'm so glad I'm being able to do this because I love it. And usually the things that you love doing, you do well. And I will say I do well.
You do.
Now, when I get to the top of the tree, I want to have, let's say, an extension. So I'm going to have to maneuver and increase my stitch width, and I'm going to go over. It might be a little difficult to see this. I'll probably have to do it with the darker thread. So I'm going to create a branch. And as you can see, the way the branch goes will be determined by the way I turn my fabric, either to the left or to the right, or bring it backwards, or push it away from me, or bring it toward me. What I mean is I'm moving the fabric away from me and then toward me, and I'm going back down into the tree. And I will show you that with a better view as I change my thread to a darker thread. So Bethany, let's have this dark brown thread.
Yes, ma'am.
And I will cut this thread.
Nice.
And as you can see the branch starting to come off the tree. And I'll darken that so you can see that better. And all the little stitching going up the tree vertically. You'll notice that I left a lot of spaces, and I also see my bobbin thread coming to the top. Therefore, when this happens, you want to lessen your thread tension. Right now, my thread tension's at a 4.25, and I want that tension to go down to about a 3 so that my bobbin thread doesn't come to the top. So if your bobbin thread is coming to the top, you're going to decrease your thread tension. If too much of your top thread is coming to the underside, then you're going to increase your thread tension. All right, so again, I'm going to bring my thread up to the top. And I'm going to set my, my stitch width again is still at a 4.0 or 4.7, which is, you know, a little bit wide. I'm going to come down off the base of my tree and notice how I'm turning and create sort of like a root looking bark. I'm going to cut that thread and go back up the tree again. Remember that this is turned a quarter of a turn, enabling me to stitch vertically up the tree. I don't want it perfectly, what would this be? Perfectly turned so that it stitches straight. I want a little bit of a diagonal
You're at like
twist.
100 degrees instead of 90.
Yeah, and the reason you do that is so that the stitches will pile up. If you stitch straight up, this is what you're going to get, a straight line. You don't want a straight line. So I can just go over that. Thread painting is a very forgiving technique. As you can see, there are no mistakes. If you make a mistake, you can just stitch over it. if you all really like this and you ask Robin, perhaps she'll have him do a taping of a thread painting class. And what we could do is you could select a panel from Asheville Quilt Cotton that we will all be working on at the same panel. And of course you'll be able to go back to it. Now, and I have instructions. And now I'm going on the underside. Could you get that scissor before?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
No more blood today.
No. Now you can see that the bottom side of this branch, the underside, and notice that when I'm doing this, I'm constantly turning and adjusting the way this is coming down onto the thread painting foundation. And now you can definitely see a branch forming. Now Stephanie, I'm going to use the black, if you'll get that for me. And I'll change this out.
We are at 9:51. So
And again, there's always a tendency to
here you go.
to pull your thread up this way,
But no.
but always cut it from here and pull it out, because otherwise your discs do get a lot of unnecessary work, and possibly you'll need to clean and have your machine clean more often. Now, if you'll notice, here's that branch extending away from the tree, and there was no fabric underneath here. Ideally, I would have extended pieces of batik fabric to make branches. Now, and you'll also notice that there seems to be a lot of puckering around. That's because this hasn't been stitched down yet.
Right.
All right. And also, if after doing your thread painting you do see a lot of puckering, the way to correct that is to then meander, micro meander stitching around the areas that are puckered. This way it pulls it in and it causes it to be flat again. You can also, after you have finished everything, take your foundation piece and turn it to the wrong side and steam press it, okay, with lots of steam. And as you're doing that, you're going to pull directionally. Do not ever put a hot iron on top of your
Tool netting, because it's
netting,
plastic.
because then you will have,
I mean, if
You'll be getting a new iron.
if you want a new iron, that's the way to do it.
or you will have to make this all over again. So now I've got my black in here, and I'm going to define the, oh, sorry, Bethany, I took that out.
You're good.
I'm going to define the other side of the tree, making it darker because it is in more of a shadowed area. And you're always going to refer to your thread painting photo. Your photo. So again, I'm going to take a stitch up, bring the bobbin thread to the top always, take a few little stitches, cut your thread, and I'm going to extend the roots of the tree out. I think I'm going to go a little bit wider. And the reason I'm doing it in the black is so that you can better be able to see. Now what you can do, and I hope we might have time for, is to put grass around the bottom of the tree. And again, I'm turning this so as I go up the tree vertically, I am not having a straight line. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to do this very quickly, go up the back of left side of the tree so that you can see. And now, Bethany, I don't think I have a green, do I?
Oh, you have a very pale green.
That isn't going to work. Too well for grass. grab me a green somewhere?
It won't be put crayon, is that okay?
That's all right. Anything. What you can also do is make a knot in your tree. Well, Bethany's getting mine.
Love it.
You can also make an extended knot. A burl, they would call that. Okay, Bethany.
Pick your favorite.
And yes, this video will be available after our live is done. After we are done broadcasting live, I hit finish. It takes probably about 15 minutes to process, and then you will find this video on the videos tab of our Facebook page, and you can start it over from the beginning. I'll also be uploading it to our YouTube channel. I'll share a link to that next week.
And while Bethany is getting the green in there, I do have a supply list, and I do have, usually when I teach this, I don't need to have instructions, so last night I was up till 11 o'clock doing the instructions for you, which Sydney printed out for me. And if you will email me at Chris Eichner at gmail.com, and you would like to have these instructions and the supply list, I will send them to you.
And Chris is an
charge.
absolute angel.
Yes, she is. All right. Oh, we've got the green in. Nice, nice, nice. All right, so now I'm going to go back to a straight stitch.
Okay, so we're going to go here, and we're going to go here.
Okay. And I'm going to attempt to hopefully show well. To, again, bring your bobbin thread to the top by taking one stitch. Whoops. Got carried away. It's all right. It's fine.
Okay.
And I'm going to, I think it's fine. I don't want a bird's nest. That's why you bring your bobbin thread to the top. So we're going to take one stitch, hit the presser foot, or what do you call that foot down there?
Kickback.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to move a little quickly, not slowly. I'm going to sew at a medium speed, and I'm going to move my fabric quickly. And for lack of a time, I'm going to go back to the zigzag stitch, raise my foot, and I'm going to go to a 3, because you can do your grass this way too. And as you can see in a moment, the grass at the base of the tree.
Oh, yeah. Oh, now I want to do a mossy tree.
Notice, take note of the fact that I'm always moving my fabric to accommodate the direction that I want the grass to go in. It's not going to go in the direction that you want unless you turn your fabric frequently. And to sweeten the pot, which I just thought of, I will finish one of my Mosaic art quilts, and for the 50th person that sends me an email asking for the supply list and for the directions, I will send you a finished Mosaic art quilt.
Oh, mercy. So y'all hear that.
Yep.
This has been really, really fun.
I know.
I've so enjoyed this, and I hope to do something like this again, different kind of art quilt, and hopefully maybe thread painted and using a panel that Robin has here, because after all, she's in business. And I think Cindy said that these are going to eventually be on YouTube's.
Yes, they are.
So that's up to her to explain this all to you. And thank you, girls. You've done a wonderful job.
You've done an amazing job.
You've made me feel so comfortable, and all my nerves went away, except I killed my finger.
Yeah. Little bloodshed, but you're
That's
just so
standard
sweet
sewing.
and talented. We're always happy to have you.
Exactly.
So you'll have 1 through 20 steps and a supply list with everything that you need to accomplish this. Yep. Thank you all.
Yay. Bethany, any last words?
You guys have a good weekend. Keep an eye out on our Facebook afterwards for the replay, and there is a YouTube page. It's called Stitch Witchery, so go follow us there. We want 1,000 followers by December.
We would. Oh gosh, we have 5, I think. And someone wanted to
goal?
see the email address one more time, and I will make a actual post with that information as well. Chris Eichner at gmail.com, and I'll make a post about that later today as well. But all right, I think that's it, everyone. Thank you. Bye.